A Christmas Story Christmas is out on HBO Max. Are you guys a fan of A Christmas Story? I'm a huge fan. Every year it was either a Christmas Vacation and A Christmas Story around Thanksgiving time, Christmas time. Those were always the go-to movies. That and Jingle All the Way. However, A Christmas Story, it has this vibe. It was shot in like 1981, and it was set in the 40s, right? 40s or 50s. And it had this vibe, this timeless vibe. Well, not really timeless. It had this vibe that, yeah, it was like a timeless film. It was like a fairy tale kind of a thing, or it had this sparkle to it, this grit. So I watched this sequel, Ralphie's back, and he's got his family, and he's an aspiring writer. And I'm going to spoil all this. If you haven't seen A Christmas Story Christmas, go watch it, or I'm just going to keep talking about it. So Ralphie comes home because the old man passes away. And I didn't know if they were going to do that on camera, or they were just going to write him off, saying he died a few years back. But no, he's like the center point of the movie. It's the reason why they go back to Ralphie's town. It's all about the old man. And it was pretty smart because they really embraced that relationship that the old man was trying to instill in Ralphie in the first movie, like setting that example for what a good Christmas is for your family and the family dynamic. So all that was really smart. I like this. Let me get down to this general points of the movie. It was a good movie. The script was pretty good. Best that they could probably do for something like this. The cast, most of the cast came back. The actress that played Ralphie's mom is a new actress. I don't know if she passed away. The original, I don't know if she passed away or she's just not acting anymore. She almost took me out of it a few times, and then I kind of just had to shake my head and move past that. It did kind of stick out to me that they recasted the mom because that dynamic was so apparent in the first movie. But as far as Ralphie goes and his buddies, it was like they never left. It was on site. The humor, they had some adult-ish humor in there. It wasn't just like a kid movie, you know. A lot of references to the old movie, the original, some throwbacks. They really nailed like everything that they could possibly do. My only concern about it is it takes place in 1974, and this goes back to like what I was saying about the first one. The first movie had some grit to it. It was shot in 81, but they shot it on film. It looked not old, but there was a look to that movie where it's like, oh yeah, that probably does take place in the 40s or 50s or whenever that first movie took place. This film, it had that, the setting was the 70s, and they had the sets decorated like the 70s, and their clothes and cars, all that was the 70s. But it didn't feel like it was in the 70s. Does that make sense? I think because they shot it on digital, like 4K. So I think if they would have, I'm not saying if they shot it on film, because that's pretty much impossible to do now. Not a lot of movies are shot on film. It's a lot more expensive. But if they had the color grade was a bit different, it would have made it feel more real, like a 70s movie. Like Joker, for example. That movie felt dirty when you watched it. The aesthetic, the color grade, it was like, it took place in the 80s, right? And it felt like it. And that just goes to the editors and the color graders and the people that do all that post-production stuff and the director. So I don't know if they thought about the aesthetic of the movie as much as most of us will, or I might even be in the minority because the movie was well shot. I'm not talking about the directing or anything. I'm just talking about the color grade. Could have made it a little bit more grainy. A little some film grain on there, a little bit. You know, that's just me though. It was really cool to see Ralphie come back after all this time. To see what his dynamic with his family is. His brother was barely in it. He was in the beginning and then the end, kind of. I don't know what his film schedule was like. Maybe he couldn't commit to that much, but we did get him in there, so it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I would give this film like an 8.5 B plus. If you watch the original film, definitely check this out. It's worth your time. It's definitely worth your time. And every year when I watch A Christmas Story, I'm gonna pop in the sequel because it's a great companion piece, guys. It's a great companion piece.